Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the SpeakerMC Show, where it's all about relationships. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Marcia Chambers, aka SpeakerMC, and I'm your host for this evening. If you're new to the show, let me just give you some background information. The SpeakerMC Show is all about relationships, how we relate to ourselves, to our community, to our environment, and to others. It's a 60-minute, free-flowing, non-scripted conversation with me and two guests. We explore a specific topic on 3 levels. What's the current relationship problem? How do we identify it? Then we dig deep to discover the root causes. And then we offer tips and solutions on how to be better communicators and live more enriched and empowered lives. Our topic tonight is how we relate to ourselves. And the title of our show is Why Am I Always So Broke? We deal with self-esteem and money mindset issues. It's going to be so much fun. Before I introduce our guests tonight, I wanted to have some housekeeping. But even before I go to the housekeeping, this really resonated with me for our show tonight. What does your money mindset say about you? Things that make you go, So before I introduce our guest, as I said, I wanted to just let you know that we have 3 intentions for this show. Our purpose here tonight is to you, the audience. We promise to empower and enlighten you about creating harmonious environments and boosting your self-confidence. Yes. To our guests, we promise to provide an opportunity to share their message with another sphere of influence. And to everyone, we are just going to have some fun. I'm sure you're all about that. So please stay to the end because you'll hear about some gifts that our guests brought for you tonight. Yeah? All right. So let's introduce our phenomenal guests. Tonight, from the shores of Kansas, we have Mr. Adam Kiddoo. Adam is famous for Aim Your Focus. He is what I call the clarity guru, the clarity code. His area of expertise is helping others to get organized, prioritized, and on the rise. Woo! I love all those eyes. AimYourFocus.com. Please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Adam Kiddoo.
Did I clap for myself?
Hi, Adam, and welcome to the SpeakerMC Show.
Thank you.
And our next guest. Oh, wait, I forgot. Adam, the rest of his bio. Adam is an expert in helping others get what they want out of life by showing them how to get clear on their vision, create their very own roadmap to success, and he also trains them on how to be accountable in following through with their plan. How many people can resonate with that? How many people, especially, I used to be in sales, you don't follow up, you don't follow through, you're leaving money on the table. So Adam,
gotta have a
thank
plan.
you.
Gotta have a plan.
That's right. And our next phenomenal guest is Mr. Chris Salem from the CRS Group Holdings. And Chris is my buddy in the East Coast. He's in Danbury, Connecticut. Woo! Chris's area of expertise is resolving the root cause to mindset barriers to have sustainable success at the next level in your business and your life. Wow. How many people need that kind of stuff? Root cause. This show is just for you because we're going to dig deep, Chris.
I'm ready.
Chris is an accomplished international keynote speaker, certified peak performance mindset trainer for corporations and entrepreneurs. He's a change strategist, an international best-selling author, a radio show host, and a wellness advocate partnering with corporate business leaders, sales professionals, and entrepreneurs to have sustainable success at the next level by resolving the root cause to mindset barriers. He has a special passion for empowering them to take their business and life to another level by operating in the solution rather than the problem. Hey, Chris, you have a lot of jobs. You sure you're not Jamaican?
I love to go there. I have Jamaican friends.
Chris shares from experience what has worked successfully for him through understanding the root cause behind the effects of limiting patterns in our business and personal lives. He is the originator of the term prospreneur. Yeah, an individual whose health and wealth are in alignment in a way that leads to true prosperity. Wow, this topic is really right up your alley. His book, Master Your Inner Critic, Resolve the Root Cause, Create Prosperity, addresses this and went international bestseller in November 2016. Please put your hands together for Mr. Chris Salem. Woo!
Thank you.
Welcome, Chris. Welcome to the SpeakerMC Show. Yes, I'm so delighted and so honored to have you guys here as guests tonight. And in case you guys are wondering, who is this woman screaming and yelling and carrying on like that? Well, I am your host, Marcia Chambers, aka SpeakerMC. I am an online personality and executive producer of this show, the SpeakerMC Show, which airs on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern. And I also executive produce and host the SWELL Happy Half, The Art of Communication. It's a monthly private women's affair that's every second Wednesday at 8 p.m. My mission is to reduce the world's divorce rate by 50%. That's why I created SWELL for women, because I observe people exchanging DNA without asking the right questions beforehand and subjecting the rest of us to their dysfunctions. How rude. These online shows that I host and co-produce and executive produce are all about relationships, especially the SpeakerMC Show. It is especially all about relationships, how we relate to ourselves, our environment, and to each other. Swell is a private invitation-only affair, and it's only on the second Wednesday of each month. And this show details various topics relating to human sexuality, dysfunctions, and remedies. So that's me. Hey! So tonight I'm going to stop the share for right now because I created a little blurb that we could discuss later. Now, getting into our subject matter, I just wanted to kind of find out a little bit more about, let's start with Chris. So Chris, I know you said that you are the change strategist and you're the prospreneur. Can you expound on that a little bit? I mean, I understand, but can you expound a little how when the health and the wealth aligns?
Sure, yeah. Well, I'll explain what a change strategist, and we'll get into what prospreneur is and the whole concept behind it. So a change strategist is just another term related to a business and life strategist. So I incorporate business and life together, because whether if you're an entrepreneur or a business leader working for a corporation, many times you're not separating your personal life from your business. You think you are, but you really aren't. So when you're designing a strategy for your business, you also have to incorporate your life as well into that picture. So a change strategist is all about transforming where you're at and where you want to go based upon resolving the root cause to the challenge or the barrier to adopt healthier habits, behaviors, and disciplines with specific goal planning and accountability to get you to the next level. So what prospreneur means is you don't have to just be an entrepreneur to be a prospreneur, but it's somebody that is aware and recognizes that wellness plays an important role in your overall, not only overall well-being, but also for sustainable success at the next level. What I mean by wellness, it's not just physical wellness, but it's looking at the 8 pillars of wellness and are they in balance? That would be social wellness, emotional wellness, financial wellness, physical wellness, spiritual, as I mentioned, occupational, intellectual, and environmental. And when any of those are out of balance, they affect one another. And if you're not, if you're out of balance, you're not in alignment with your true being and your passion, and you're not able to really get to the next level and reach your full potential. But if you have it in balance, doesn't have to be perfect, you have the capability of taking your life and business to another level for sustainable success. That's
I love it. I love it. I love it. It sounds so mirrored to what I do with SWELL as well. I have the 7 pillars, but the 7 pillars incorporates your social, your physical, your career, all that stuff. So that's fabulous. That's fabulous. Now, Adam, aim your focus. I call you the clarity guru. Can you just expound on that and explain to our audience what does that mean?
Sure. First of all, one of my superpowers, I feel like, is just being in a brainstorming environment. If somebody has an idea, I'm very good at just kind of helping them flesh it out. So that's where I kind of come up with the whole clarity idea is, sometimes we have so much going on in our heads that it's hard for us to really kind of get clear on what we want to achieve. And if we're not clear on the direction we're going, we could go anywhere, everywhere. We don't know where we're going. So I'm big into helping people kind of get that out of their head, down onto paper, and put it in a map, as a way for them to have specific action items to follow. Because yet again, with entrepreneurs, we wear many different hats. We're doing a lot of different things, and sometimes it just gets overwhelming. And been there, done that, got the T-shirt, So I finally got to a point where I'm being more intentional with my time and energy and focus, and that has been game changer for me as well. Talking about in life and in business, I'm big into feeling good as well, because I know a lot of people, they just work so hard and they're not happy, So I just see that that's just a waste of time. You got to be able to live like Chris said, in alignment with your passion and doing the things you truly love and helping people. Because if not, at the end of the day, you're just miserable and you're just trying to collect a paycheck. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are feeling that. So I'm definitely have my heart out to them and want to help.
Okay, I like it. So both you guys talk about creating plans and creating strategies, and I like that. Chris, you said that you serve business leaders, and the issue is that many people operate their business and their lives in the effect of the root cause of their problems. Now, I know tonight we're going to talk about why am I so broke, and that there's so much contained in that question. And a lot of people tend to associate poor with being broke. And we know that there are 2 different things. Would you like to kind of clear the air with a definition of being broke, and then talking about what do you mean about people living their lives in the effect of the root cause of their problems?
Sure, absolutely. Well, when people have a broke mentality, oftentimes this is tied back to, the inner critic, a dialogue that they have with their inner critic that stems back to their childhood. So it could be something that it was picked up it could be the root cause with a parent. It could be a father, it could be a mother, it could be a combination of both. It could be an authoritative figure back when they were growing up. And a lot of times with women, it typically ties back to shame and guilt, which are negative emotions that women experience as a byproduct of something, whether if it's traumatic or not. A lot of times their dialogue with money is tied back to that. I'm guilty if I start making money, and if I'm broke, then I don't have to feel that guilt, and I don't have to feel that shame. And for men, it's tied back to a lack of self-esteem and lack of self-confidence, and this also ties back to either passive anger towards a parent or both, where perhaps they grew up in an environment where money was not a good thing. It was a negative thing in their household. And over time, they developed this dialogue in their head that, you know, money was the root of all evil rather than good. You know, and money's energy, and people have to understand that it's just a form of energy. But if you have the proper mindset, you know, people can make those changes by resolving the root cause to those mindset barriers. So what I mean about the effect of the cause, what I mean by that is that you look at most people when they're looking to find a solution to a problem. They know on some level they're stuck somewhere. In this case, they're being broke. So they're looking for a short-term fix. They're looking for something that's quickly going to change that situation. But what they end up doing is finding something that's just going to manage the effect of the cause. It's not the root cause, but one of the many causes to the root cause. It's just like taking a pharmaceutical medication for a condition. Is the pharmaceutical medication going to solve that person's particular health problem? No, it's going to manage it, but it's not going to be the solution. It's not going to be, you know, solve their problem. So in order to really live and operate in the solution, to change your dialogue with money, you have to stop managing the effect of the cause, looking for the short-term fix, and recognize that the solution only resides in you, not from the outside. There are components that can help you to gain a better mindset towards money, but will not solve your problem. They have to be used in conjunction with you changing your mindset towards receiving, feeling good that I'm willing to receive money for the value that I offer others.
Adam, what would you like to put to that, to just kind of expound on the clarity that Chris had mentioned and expound on getting the mind right? Because how do you identify someone who is suffering from this mindset apathy?
A lot of times it's in their verbiage. I heard a saying a long time ago that says your sentences basically sentence you to a life of what you're saying. So if you're constantly saying, you know, it's hard to find or hard to make money, you know, I can't ever catch a break, things like that. You're basically telling your mind and yourself that, you know, this is the truth. So then when you go out and you try to make money, your mind's like, wait, hold on, you told me it's hard to make money. It's like this shit, you know, so you definitely got to watch what you say. Another thing is just kind of about knowing yourself, and Chris touched on this. Growing up, we definitely learned things from our parents that we feel like, okay, if our parents told us that, it's got to be true, right? But, you know, times have changed, things have changed, so we don't have to just latch on to everything we learned and we're taught it as children. So we've got to be able to kind of make our own association with money and tell ourselves a new story about it. And this is definitely something that I've had to work on myself. And I think it's, you know, the whole money mindset. It's not like you just turn one knob and you're like good to go. You got to continue to work on it. And you just got to become aware. You know, when you want to change something in your life, I feel like there's 3 steps to change. The first thing is to become aware. Obviously, you got to know you want to change something. And a lot of people try to skip the next step is to understand. So if you don't understand why you're acting a certain way or why you're thinking a certain way or doing the things you do, it's hard to change. But if you really can kind of get to the root of why, the why behind it, it becomes a lot easier. And then from there, you have to kind of change your beliefs. And this is something that, yet again, takes discipline and time and effort because we've been ingrained, through our lives that this is a certain way, it's got to be this way. But we can change our beliefs, and it all stems back from being aware. I even used to, I caught myself when I was really trying to transition because, I was the epitome of a good money mindset. Just not too long ago, I would go to the mailbox and I'd be like, oh crap, I hope there's not a big bill in there. And, it's like, that's such a scarcity mindset. How are you supposed to have abundance in your life and feel good about things if you're constantly worried about, the smallest little things? And I was like, wow. And I just kind of caught myself and realized that I've got to kind of clean some things up in the way I see the world and view things. And yet again, it's just been a constant, never-ending improvement since that day. And, and things continue to get better and better. But you've definitely got to watch yourself, watch what you say and watch what you're thinking.
So that's a very important point, your language. And like Think and Grow Rich, you are what you think about.
Mhm.
So Chris and Adam, you touched on your why, you know, who you are. And Chris mentions this as well, like the who you are. What is your why? I say this to entrepreneurs all the time. If your why don't make you cry, then it's not big enough.
Love that.
So your why got to make you cry. Now, Chris, can you expound on how does that kind of frame that person, the who they are of that person? Why does that why make them now who they are? Adam said you got to watch what you say, which I wholeheartedly understand and believe. Now, why does your why kind of symbolize who you are, and how does that reflect those people who are constantly broke or poor?
Well, you know, as Adam mentioned, you know, words are very powerful, but, you know, in order to manifest, you know, the right mindset to attract abundance and money is one, you know, it starts with your thoughts. And you can speak words and do certain things, but if your thoughts are not congruent with those words and actions, you know, the universe is not going to honor exactly what you're looking for. You're always going to be wanting. And so, you know, we're using words like try and I would or I could, you know, they have to be impactful. And I think a lot of times people have to go into doing things to attract abundance from their why. I see a lot of people working for money for the sake of money, but they're not doing it from their why. And as you mentioned, that's only going to get you so far. And you might be able to get by with certain sales skills or people skills if you're charismatic to do that, but you'll eventually reach burnout. And the whole process of enjoying the ride to success and money will not be sustainable with that type of mindset. So as I always say, that if you're going to get to your why, you need to clear the cobwebs. You need to get really clear on who you are by first putting the problems aside. You don't want to be managing the effects. So that, you know, I always say before getting to your why, we need to resolve the root cause to whatever is causing you to have friction with money and why your dialogue with money is not right. Once we're able to resolve the root cause and the negative emotion tied to it, then through meditation and journaling, or, you know, just writing down every day how you feel and what's your attitude towards money and being grateful every day, then we could get to your why. But again, it's not about the money first. It's about what do you love to do? What's coming from your heart and your true essence to do something that will eventually add tremendous amount of value that people that will want to buy from you or do business with you. And I think that's for sustainable success and to have money flowing to you, that's got to be really clear. And as Adam will probably elaborate on, where he's an expert on this area, is on the organization and specific goal planning. That would be the next step in order to, you know, fulfill that.
So the root causes, and I know that this is right up your alley. So the root causes we touched on earlier were that it came from our parents, right?
It could be. It doesn't necessarily has to be, but most of my clients, either whether they're unconscious or conscious to it, ends up being a parent or parents. Sometimes it could be, you know, like an uncle or aunt, or it could be a brother or sister, but more or less of the time it's a parent, whether if they're aware of it or not.
And just like Adam said, you know, you have to understand that this is where you are. So if you want that clarity to get out of that mindset, then you have to understand. It's like an alcoholic. You go to AA. Are you an alcoholic? No, I'm not an alcoholic. What are you doing here? You know, you have to understand that, yeah, you need help, or you have an issue, or you have a problem. So I really like that about what you guys had said. Now, I created this little list of things to show a differentiation, but I wanted to kind of still clear the air that broke and poor are two different things. One is temporary and one might be permanent. I think one is a lifestyle. Broke is like, not broke, poor is like a lifestyle, something that you have subjected yourself and decided, yes, this is where I am, that's it, there's no better. You don't take advantage of whatever the resources are that are out there for you, and you just develop this attitude that, well, yeah, this is it, I'm poor, right? And the broke is, as Kiyosaki said, it's an attitude that determines the bounce back. So broke being temporary means that, yeah, I can't afford that right now, but doesn't mean that I'll never be able to. So it's just an attitude or changing the way you look at something. Would you guys agree or would you not agree that they're two different things?
No, absolutely. I mean, I always tell people that, your greatest investment is you. I see so many people spending money they say they don't have on things that really, when you think about it, don't serve you long term. Mm-hmm. Color TVs, nice looking cars. I mean, these are all nice things to have. And if you've worked hard and you have extra money to spend on that, by all means. But when somebody says they don't have money or they can't afford something, mm-hmm. It's just that their priorities are not there. And I'm sure Adam can speak really well to that, in that it's just a shift in the priorities and knowing that your greatest investment is always you.
Yeah, I saw someone post just the other day. He was saying a friend of his had been saying for a long time he's wanting to get in the gym and get back to the gym. And he says, but I can't afford the $60 a month. And the guy said, well, maybe you should cut down on these $20 cocktails that you're having right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the $200 bar tab every weekend. Yeah, I don't have the money.
So that money's there somewhere, and it's just like you said, shifting your priorities and knowing what you really want. And if you really want, to get back in shape, then you can cut down on the cocktails you have every month. So yeah.
Absolutely, it's priorities and just focusing. There's always a sacrifice. That's the thing. People, you can't. Sometimes you can maybe have your cake and eat it too at some point, but when you're starting out in this process, there are going to be sacrifices. Yeah. You always got to do what's going to best serve you. Right. And indirectly will add value, empowering others that as you go through this process.
Yeah.
When Adam mentioned, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, you said, the difference between poor and broke. And when you said that, I was thinking, poor is almost like poor me. And it's almost like, Chris says he wants you to focus on the solutions, because if you're focusing on the problem, you're just kind of bouncing around in the problem and you're not getting anywhere, and just kind of, banging your head against the wall per se. And a big thing about me is, like, I always want to take 100% responsibility for everything in my life. And, mm-hmm. Every time I say that, somebody's like, well, what about this? And I'm like, well, if you start, adding exclusions to that 100%, it's going to, knock it down to like 50%, so take accountability for everything in your life. And that's just kind of a good place to come from when it comes to money or, anything that you're after.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, because yeah. So I'll share the screen so you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here. I created these little pointers, and I thought that it was so apropos for our conversation today, because poor people tend to have this skeptical way of thinking, oh, everybody's out to get me. They're out to get my stuff, and the wealthy people tend to just trust everyone. Not saying trust them without any kind of boundaries or any kind of discernment, but they trust people. They don't feel that people are out to get them. And then the poor people, they'll find fault, always looking for problems and not solutions. And you guys touched on that. Mm-hmm. They wallow in the problems and, oh, woe is me. They're always the victim. And wealthy people know that everything happens for a reason. It might be a lesson to take you out of a certain mindset and shift you somewhere else. Or maybe you're trying to go down a certain road and that's not the road. So here's your lesson. Sometimes it's costly. Poor people, I said, they make assumptions. They make no attempt to get what they want. They always have an excuse, a reason why not. Whereas on the other side of the fence, they say, well, what if that could happen? What if my email list could go to 40,000 tomorrow? I mean, it might sound a little out there, but you put it out there in the universe and the universe just gladly meets you. And you just, instead of not asking, you question your answers, right? The other thing was, like Adam just mentioned, you take ownership. They, them, you take responsibility for your part in the big picture. So it's like a we, oh, we did this, and yeah, it might have been somebody's fault, but yeah, it was my fault too. Yeah, you take ownership. Poor people tend to search for the cheapest versus the quality of the thing. Whereas the wealthy people, they search for quality. They'll go miles and miles and miles just to get that exact quality thing or product that they want. And poor people tend to think they value money versus time, whereas the opposite is on the opposite side of the fence. Money you can always make, time you can't get it back. And poor people tend to compete against each other a lot, as opposed to creating. If something is, okay, so we created this 100% coconut water. Well, I'm going to make another one, living in the red ocean. I'm going to make another one that's better than that, that competition, as opposed to saying, well, maybe I can make coconut and aloe. Who would have thought? Because, okay, that's what I feel for. Maybe other people will be like me. So they go and they create their blue ocean strategy, so to speak. So yeah, I just thought that these little topics were something to kind of bring some information on people who really don't believe that there is a mentality adjustment that needs to be made,
Yeah, that's a great list. That's a great list. I like what you got.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I think when you say search for the cheapest versus quality and search for quality, and I think that the difference with poor people is they want results. And results often are tied to, I need it now. I need a short-term solution.
Yes.
And they're looking to the outside rather within. Whereas for quality, people that are wealthy know that any desired outcome or result is a process of change. So they're focused on changing rather than the result itself. And the result, a positive result is going to be when you're focused on the change, not the other way around when you're focused just on the result.
I like that. I should have added that to my list too.
One thing that stood out to me here was the very first one. People live from a place of not trusting people and they're skeptical about everything. And as you can see, how do I get over there? Mr. Einstein behind me, he's got a quote. He said, the most important question, and if Einstein says something is the most important, you better listen. It says the most important question you could ever ask yourself is this world a good place? Because if you don't think the world's a good place, you're going to think it's a bad place, and you're going to come from a place of scarcity. We got all these news stations and all these ads popping up on the internet that are telling us this world's a bad place, but that's because they want to suck us in, get our attention, that shock value. So you've got to be able to kind of turn a blind eye and not get sucked into all the crazy news, because literally you'll go out through the day and you'll try to find abundance and help people, but you always have these blocks kind of going in the back of your mind being like, no, this isn't the right thing to do, this isn't the right thing to do, and you're living from a place of fear rather than living from abundance.
Exactly, and that's how they control us, with all this fear, because people are now, oh my God, I don't want to go outside, I can't do this, I can't try that, I want to do this, but I can't, and then their language just contains all those negative atoms, like, woof!
They're looking for the answers outside of them. They want something that's going to solve their problems, that money is going to be available to me if they I deserve it. And the thing is that success with anything in life, whether it's money or freedom or having balance, is a process. It is not a destination. And that's what wealthy people focus on. They know that it is a process. It is ongoing. They need to be accountable every step of the way until the day they die. And it's a result of action from a specific game plan. And that is really, really important. And when I say specific, I mean, and Adam could probably, will probably elaborate far more on this, is it's got to be very detailed. I mean, every day knowing that what you're going to be doing and that those sub goals are attainable each and every day. So you're not overwhelmed.
Yeah. Belief. You got to believe.
I like it. I like it a lot. So those are some of the solutions that they could attach to getting the clarity and getting the plan that they want to strategize their life and their wellness and be better people.
Well, Jim Rohn always said, success
that's
is what
my boy!
not what it's not like, here you've arrived. It's what you become in the process, and the process is never ending.
Yes.
It's always evolving. It's always changing, and what you either have the choice to change with it or not. And when you fight it, that's when you start getting back into the broke mentality in any area of your life.
Yeah, I think we can all kind of resonate with that. Not the broke mentality, but just fighting against the process sometimes, because you feel as if, man, I've been doing this and I've been doing this and I've been doing this. When is it going to come to fruition? So I think we all kind of lapse back there at times. And Adam, we're in the same coaching group. And I know that a lot of us were feeling the pains of the process. So yeah, the process is, I would say, eternal, because we're forever changing. And that's part of the dynamic of being a human. If you're not changing, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, then you're dead. So since we're walking and breathing and we're not zombies, we have to change, And it's so funny how some people will always tell you, I don't like change.
Get used
what
to
the hell
it.
is that?
It's happening whether you like it or not. Either you jump on and go for the ride, or deal with the consequences.
Exactly. Because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You're gonna say something, Adam?
Yeah, and growth comes out of your comfort zone too. So, if you're just doing the same thing every day and you're feeling comfortable, chances are you're not growing a lot. So, like you were saying, growing pains hurt a little bit, but they're so rewarding. You got to look for those moments to, kind of step up and step out of who you are now, and kind of have a bigger picture of who you want to become. And Marcia and I, talking about the group that we're in together, the guy that runs this group, he said he's mentioned this, probably like 10 times since we've been in the group, but he always talks about Tom Watson from IBM. He said when he first started, he said when he first started his company, he really, sat back and thought, he was like, okay, how do I want this company to look at the end? When I'm all done with it, how do I want this company to look? So he really kind of went through it, took some time to really kind of flesh some things out, and he got a clear vision of how he wanted the company to look. He said step number 2 was, he said, okay, so how, does somebody successful act? How does somebody at that point in the game, how do they act? And so step number 3, he said, if I don't start acting like that today, if I don't start stepping into that role right now, I never will. So start acting like that today now. And obviously success leaves clues too. So you see people who are successful and, they've got, the lifestyle that you want. But they're not the overnight success like you think a lot of people are. Obviously people pop up on the internet and they're like, oh, I did this, did that, but you don't see the blood, the sweat, the tears that they poured in underneath it. And at the end of the day, you've got to be able to, have a plan, move forward with it, and just enjoy what you're doing. Because if you're not enjoying what you're doing, it's a constant struggle, and nobody likes to struggle. So find something that you're totally passionate about.
Adam mentioned something that was really powerful. You got to, stepping out of your comfort zone is so important, because people are conditioned to be comfortably uncomfortable, and rather being uncomfortable to be comfortable, because being uncomfortable is short term to be comfortable, but knowing that you'll never be in that comfort zone for too long, that you're always going to be coming out of your comfort zone, because you got to look at it, success, there's a price to be paid. And what you become is so worth, rather than regretting that you never became what you were supposed to be. And regret is the greatest pain of all. And if you ask any old person that said they never fulfilled their passion or their purpose, will tell you when they're on their deathbed that that regret was the biggest pain that they've ever experienced. That it would have been far easier to be uncomfortable, to face that fear, because you're not going to die from it. To come out of your comfort zone, to be uncomfortable, change one thing to get better, to keep doing that, to get you where you want to go.
And isn't the graveyard the richest place on earth too?
It's got more dreams and hopes and
where dreams go to die.
When you spoke about being uncomfortable and getting out of your comfort zone, I always tell people this joke. This one guy, he used to walk to work every morning with his briefcase and his suit, and pass this old man sitting on his porch with this dog laying down on some nails, on a bed of nails. And he would walk by Monday, come back Tuesday, Wednesday, till one day he said, no, I got to ask. So he asked the old man, he said, well, why is the dog laying on the nails? And the old man said, it would hurt more for him to get off of it and change than just to lay there. And isn't that like everybody who is in this comfort zone? The change, the immediate pain that you feel just to make that change, that one thing that you spoke about, Chris, is just like, oh my God, I'd rather just sit here and suffer through it. For what? For what? You know?
Exactly.
As Chris
nothing here. He said it's not a life or death situation. It's not going to kill you. I mean, it's just a temporary thing to get you to the next level, to where you want to go. Just making one change.
One change.
Start with one thing.
We're living in an instant gratification world, like Chris alluded to earlier. Yeah. So, you know, we see things and we see change, and it's like, wow, that's going to be so much effort. But like Marcia said, you know, we would almost rather stay in the pain than to change, because if it's not happening instant, it's almost like it's not worth it. But obviously, at the end of the day, it's so worth it to create new change in your life, create new habits, and kind of go after what you want. To me, excitement is a cure-all. So if you can stay excited and stay passionate about what you're doing, yes. There's no better feeling.
Didn't they say that it takes 10 years to be an overnight success?
Yep.
So you really got to go at it. You really got to go at it.
True that.
So, gentlemen, it has been a wonderful experience and very, very energetic communication and conversation here tonight. I wanted to give you guys your due. Let me see if I could share the screen. Ta-da! Wait. So, I wanted you guys to just tell people a little bit more about you, your business, where can they find you, and then we'll talk about the upcoming events that you have. So, you want to start? Chris, you want to start?
Sure. Well, the first thing would be my radio show, which is debuting on Wednesday, May 17th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's called Sustainable Success. It's part of the Influencer channel with VoiceAmerica.com. So there'll be 10 influencers part of that channel, and I highly encourage you to tune in. The radio show will be live, but yet will be on demand and recorded, so you can always listen to it after the fact on voiceamerica.com or via iTunes or Stitcher. We will have amazing guests on each and every week, focusing on different subtopics as it relates to sustainable success. So sustainable success is not just related to wealth and money. It's related to having a balanced lifestyle. It's related to putting your wellness first and serving your true purpose. And this also goes to companies holistically as well. That a lot of times, because companies are forced to produce profits short-term for investors, that it's also very important to have balance with long-term goals, meaning that sometimes we have to forego those short-term profits to invest in something even greater and bigger that is going to sustain that company to the next level, that is going to make investors very happy. So it's going to look at a wide variety of different topics, and I highly encourage you to join us each and every Wednesday. Also, I will be speaking as the keynote for the Senior Executive Women's Network based here in Connecticut. So these will be senior executive women with titles of director, VP, and above that meet every quarter. And I will be doing a keynote on this particular area, showing these senior executive women how to master their inner critic for sustainable success at the next level. That will be at the Radisson Hotel this Wednesday night, May 17th.
Cool.
All right. All right. And next we have, so wait, Chris.
Yes.
Chris, tell us a little bit more about Chris Salem and your root causes and your change strategy for Prosperpreneur.
You want my
for those who probably joined us a little bit later.
You want my own personal story, or just in general?
Yes.
Okay, so the reason why what I do is based upon my own personal experience. So over 19 years ago, while I was in sales. I had a successful sales career, even in my early 20s. However, during that time frame, I was emotionally, spiritually, and physically bankrupt to the point where I was considering at some point that I don't even want to even go on any further. I was struggling with addiction. I was struggling with certain behaviors and habits that were not serving me. And I got to the point where I hit rock bottom. And I found out that most of my life I was living a lie. I was not living to who I really was. I was living in my false self. I was looking to get the attention of my father that was elusive throughout my entire life. My father was not present like other fathers in my life growing up. So I was always seeking his attention and finding ways to get him to notice the things that I was doing. And then what I ended up doing was just becoming my father, not only with the habits and behaviors, but actually picking jobs and projects that basically mirrored what he was doing. And I would choose situations, girlfriends, business partners, bosses, you name it, that ended up becoming my father, so I could re-experience over and over the anger that I had towards him.
Wow.
So again, my root cause was my father. The negative emotion tied to it was anger. Mine wasn't passive anger. It was you knew I was angry. And as a result of that, that just took my life completely out of balance, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Until I was able to truly resolve the root cause and become aware first and accept my father for who he was. Because I found out my father was the same way. He had a father that was not present in his life. He did not know what to do. And the fact that I accepted that and truly resolved it and released it, then I was able to overcome that negative emotion of anger. Now, not to say that I've never been angry before again, but when it happens, it kind of comes and goes very quickly, whereas anger used to just sit in me for days and months with any trigger that would happen. So when you truly resolve the root cause is when that negative emotion or negative emotions you experience kind of just comes and goes very quickly. And you're able to adopt the positive side of your inner critic to align with habits, behaviors, and disciplines that will best position you to become your true, better self and to offer value to others.
Wow. And here we thought that it was only girls who had daddy issues.
No, it's not. It's guys too. I think with fathers, a lot of times fathers are very hard on their sons, or they're just emotionally not there. And, and a lot of times men will be oblivious to it. They're unconscious of the fact that they even have any problems with their father. Yeah. I'm coaching a gentleman right now that has this with his mother. And at the time, he was telling all he told me was great things about his mom. And all of a sudden, these things are starting to surface because his unconscious mind now is speaking to his conscious mind through meditation and through taking his moral inventory daily. So as Adam talks about, again, this clarity is now coming into the picture. He had this fog, just like I had the fog, because I was caught up in the past, in the future, where stress and fear exist in the past, anxiety exists in the future. There was no clarity to really understand all this. So in order to determine the problem and the solution which resides in you, you need to be clear.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. Well,
thank you for sharing that. That's a great story.
Thank you for sharing. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let me check. Do I have No, I know I have mommy issues. I don't have daddy issues. And what kind of present or gift did you bring our audience today, Chris?
Well, what I'd like to give, if I could, I'd give you a lot of different gifts, but what I'd like to offer the listeners and the guests would be, I have a chapter coming out in a Jack Canfield book called Mastering the Art of Success. It's due out this July, at least that's what the publisher's telling us. And I'd be happy to send a chapter from that book to the listeners as a gift so you can enjoy it, and it talks about this process into achieving success and whatever that means to you by resolving the root cause to those barriers.
And is there they just go on your website for that? They
can what they do is just go in and just contact me through the website, and I will personally send a email to them with that attachment with that chapter.
Okay, ChristopherSalem.com.
or Chris@ChristopherSalem.com if they want to email me directly. Chris@ChristopherSalem.com.
Okay, fabulous. Whoops. Oh dear, I spelled his name wrong.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear.
I don't think there's anybody else named Christoph, or I don't know how. Maybe there is.
Oh Lord, sorry about that, Chris.
That's okay.
And next we have, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that powerful story.
Thank you.
It kind of resonates with a lot of people, you know? Yeah. So, Mr. Adam, you're up next. Tell us what's going on with you. Tell us about the Aim Your Focus. Tell us how you came about that. What does it have to do with you? Why are you doing it? Just tell us everything.
All right. Well, I'll go back a little ways. I guess it was in 2007, 2008. I had moved with my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, to have her finish, or she was taking law school in Topeka, Kansas. And I went there in a tough economy, trying to get a job that was very stressful. And, I have my whole background is kind of in marketing and advertising, and just being in a brand new city, it was just hard to get in with the ad agencies. And I kind of just, during all that, I just had almost a come to Jesus moment where I was like, there's so many people that, poured their heart and soul into businesses, and, the economy got bad, and the rug got pulled out from underneath them. I was like, I don't want to, wake up one day with that problem as well. I don't want to spend the next 30 to 40 to 50 years of my life, helping somebody grow their business only to be disposable at the end of the day. And if things get bad, they have no problem letting me go. And if that's like what I specialized in and what I spent all my time in, it might be hard to make a shift at that point. So I kind of decided at that point I was just going to take what I knew about internet marketing and start my own business. So I actually started a small marketing agency, basically doing all digital, a little bit of traditional media, when it came to clients, needing different things to kind of mix things up. But, basically learned everything there is to know about social media, internet marketing, email marketing, Google AdWords, the whole nine. And after my wife finished law school, we moved back to our hometown of 10,000 people so she could practice law with her father. And, it was a big change, and change is scary, like we say sometimes. And I kind of got to a point where I just wasn't happy how things were going, and I really had to kind of take a look at myself and figure out what was going on. And so I spent a lot of time kind of reflecting and, fleshing things out. And it really all came to a head one night. I was laying in bed, and I literally just felt so frustrated. The only way to describe it is to say, like, I wanted to crawl out of my own skin. I just was not happy with the way things were going. I was so overwhelmed. I was overweight, overworked, the whole nine. So, up until that point, for the last 5 years before that, I'd been kind of on a personal development journey, just reading a lot of different books, studying, the best in the biz. And so I kind of had an idea of what I could do to get out of it. So, Chris had mentioned meditation a couple of times. I actually got up out of bed and I grabbed my journal, and I went to a comfy spot, my recliner downstairs that I hardly ever sit in. It's so comfy, but we don't spend a lot of time down there. So I went and sit down there, and I just really got in a nice peaceful state, kind of just a real nice meditative state. And I decided to start asking myself questions, because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions. So I wasn't asking myself things like, why does this always happen to me? Or why do I have bad luck? I really got specific, and I asked myself, what can I do right now and over the next week to make sure I never have to experience this again? And what I came up with was a 7-step process that I was to follow in order to basically pull myself out of the proverbial gutter, as I say. So I literally followed these 7 steps that I kind of fleshed out for myself. And ever since that day, my life has been, 100 times better. I literally know what I want. I know what I'm doing. There's no more, there's obviously still uncertainty at some points. I mean, that's just life, and that's what keeps life fun. But with that being said, I just have a better understanding of what I need to do and the actions that I need to take to continue to move my life forward, because I'm big into growth. I'm big into making progress. And like I said, progress equals excitement. And to me, excitement is a cure-all. So
yes.
So that's kind of my rundown of the story. So I've still got my marketing agency, but I'm shifting a lot more to help entrepreneurs that are kind of in a transition phase, or maybe they're trying to start their own online business. Help them establish a plan, set a vision, understand where they're going, help them clean up on some of their habits so they're not constantly fighting their bad habits along the way, and really helping them flesh out a specific roadmap of the actions they need to take in order to get to where they're going. Because without a vision, you don't know where you're going, and without check marks or check markers along the way, you won't be able to take that first step and continue taking action. So that's a big thing with me. So next Tuesday, the 23rd of May, I'm doing a live webinar where I'm going to be talking about the 7-step process that I actually created to hold myself accountable and to get out of this bad place that I was in. So if you sign up for that webinar at aimyourfocus.com, I'll also send you a PDF checklist of the 7 steps. And like I said, I'm having a lot of fun on this webinar, and this is one of my Facebook ads I've been running a little bit because I think a lot of people can relate to squirrel syndrome. Yes. we get to going one way, and all of a sudden some new shiny object catches our eye, and we go off, just chasing our tail. So we definitely have to be intentional with your time, energy, and focus in order to create a life you love. So that's my spiel there. So yeah, anybody that wants to attend that, I'll definitely send you the PDF checklist for the 7 steps.
I love it. I love it. So your webinar is on the 23rd.
Yes.
Okay.
It's 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, Eastern. Yes. Wow, it has been such a pleasure having you guys here on the show. So with me, almost got me.
What about you? You always forget about yourself.
Such a woman thing, forget about ourselves. So with me, I have a podcast, SWELL Playroom, that airs on Fridays, the 1st and 3rd Fridays of each month. And it's on Mixcloud with the Let's Be Real Talk Radio. Then I co-host a segment on the Orgasmic Life radio show with Najami Lazama called The Bush is SWELLING, Swelling. That airs on Thursdays at 9 p.m. starting June 2nd. That's our party launch. Then I have an upcoming Swell for Women rooftop event that's coming soon. The date was supposed to be the 15th of June. I'm changing that because the weather has been so crappy, So tune in for that. And then I'm hosting a webinar next month called Bring Back That Love and Feeling for all these women who are just sexless in their marriages. Yes. So that's what I'll be doing.
Good deal.
Yes, and this is the contact information for our lovely gentleman here. And gentlemen, I'm going to be bold and brazen and ask you to just give your feedback on our show tonight, our conversation, just like a little testimonial or something. Adam, you want to go first?
Sure. I already told you earlier, I absolutely love what you got going on here. We spoke a lot about money mindset, which is important because money can get in the way of relationships a lot of times. I think there's statistics out there that says it's, one of the number one, fights in households. So, what Marcia is doing is a great job of, just kind of open up the dialogue a little bit about relationships and happiness and, having passion in your life, things like that. So I think that what you got going on here is absolutely great. And I'm thrilled that you invited me to be on here.
I'm honored that you came, and I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chris?
Well, Marcy, I wanted to thank you and also Adam to be on the show. What I love about this format, it's conversational, and that's what's really important because the people that are listening, it's interactive. They get to hear us talking back and forth, and it's like we don't even know what's going to come out of our mouth, and that's it comes from the heart, and nothing here has been planned. It's straight from the heart, and it's all quality information that people can really resonate with to change some aspect of their life. And so I really love this format. And as Adam had mentioned, communication and dialogue is so important. in relationships, whether that's with money or anything that goes on, because, you know, money can be a good thing in a relationship, or it can divide people in a relationship. And if they're not communicating properly or being transparent about any challenges or problems, then they're not operating the solution. Transparency is not a weakness. It's actually a strength. And that goes for men as well as women. A lot of times men tend to not even talk about that.
Amen.
So the focus here that I get out of this is communication, communication, communication. Keep it going.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes. It has been truly an honor to have you guys on the show. And this information will be passed out to my sphere of influence, and I'll share it with you as well. So please feel free. Oh, it has been wonderful. And it's so funny how the hour just passes by so quickly.
It goes quick.
So quickly, so quickly. So I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. And it has truly been real good substantive stuff, you know? Yeah. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
It is now the top of the hour. And I know you must be tired, Chris, because you're like,
oh, yeah.
you just came from
I was coaching a bunch of 9 and 10-year-olds after being up since 4:30 this morning. So my wife has got my bed. She's got it all ready for me to jump in. So that's where I'm going.
Well, thank you for spending the time with us tonight.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I want to thank everyone for spending the time with us tonight. Thank you, Adam, also. And Maya Angelou always says, people will never remember what you said. People will never remember what you did, but people will always remember how you made them feel. And I hope we made you feel as warm and fuzzy as we did tonight. So thank you. See you next time on the Speaker MC Show. Bye.